All right, I want to walk you through the math of a six-figure Blender offer. And when I say six figures, I mean something producing, $8,000 a month, presumably. It's about six figures right there. And the math behind what makes this work, because a lot of people that I see right now developing Blender products, there's so many things I could say they're doing wrong, but they're pricing stuff at like $5, $10. They're using these platforms like Blender Market and Gumroad. I could go on and on. In fact, I am in this video. So if you're somebody selling products in the Blender space, watch this whole thing. It's going to provide you with a lot of insight, basically. Now, in case you don't know, like why should you be listening to me say this? I presume you've seen our Blender tutorials before on our YouTube channels, but we've made over $2.5 million selling products in the Blender space. That includes plugins, specifically our MaterialWorks plugin. That's actually the only plugin or the only product that we made over six figures in a month selling during our launch period. And the rest is like, coaching, courses, things like that. A lot of you guys probably sell plugins or asset packs. Some of you might even sell like trainings, courses, things like that. This applies to all of you. What I see a lot of people do here, especially like Blender YouTubers and influencers, so to speak, they're making YouTube videos or Instagram content or TikTok content or even Facebook content, stuff like this. They're doing the whole content game, which is good. That's what you want. And what this does is this produces traffic, meaning somebody sees your content and then you have like eyeballs on you. And then what a lot of people do is when they're making this content, they'll send that traffic to a product page, usually on Blender Market or Gumroad, to like some cheap $10 product. Example, I see a lot of Blender YouTubers that make a video and then they say, hey, buy my plugin. It's on Blender Market. There's a link below. And then the plugin costs like $10. The mathematics don't work. And I can guarantee you, these people that are selling these, and if you're one of them watching this video, I mean no offense, but you and I both know that's probably not producing that much money. Maybe, if you're lucky, $1,000 or $2,000 per month max. And that's being generous. So this strategy where you're getting attention and then funneling them into like a cheap Blender product, it doesn't work anymore, especially in this 2026 ecosystem. It simply doesn't work, okay? And then usually what they do is, they send them to a product page and then somebody will like purchase their plugin. It's like a, $5, $10 plugin most of the time. The issue with this is the maximum average order value is whatever the price of your product is. Usually it's like a $5 to $10 tool. That's what most people, for whatever reason, seem to price their product at. It might be 20, $30, but you get the idea. That's kind of the max that anybody can spend with you. And this is a big problem, okay? And the reason this is a problem is because the conversion rates on average for products around this price point, for sub $10 products, even stuff, $15, $20, the conversion rates are going to be about 4 to 5%. That's just going to be pretty standard, right? So that's kind of the first problem. And I'm going to run through the math here in a little bit. The right way you should be doing this, there's a completely new structure you should be building. And if this isn't set up properly and it's not being built, you will not be able to monetize your Blender products. You will make very, very little money and you'll just struggle forever trying to get it off the ground. So this right here is what we're doing personally. We've been doing this for years and it is incredibly effective. It is going to require a bit of extra work on your end. Maybe this takes you a couple days or a week or two. Who cares, right? Put in that work up front. It's not going to be that difficult. And you'll get to reap the benefits that I'm about to show you here for years, literally years. We've done this to make over 2.5 million selling products in the Blender space. So this works, very, very effectively. So the setup's going to be the same here. You'll be making YouTube content, Instagram content, maybe TikTok, Facebook. Doesn't matter where you're getting the attention from. This is going to be your traffic source right here. Now, you're still going to send them to a product page, just like you did up here. You're still going to send them to a product page, but this is going to be on your own site. And I'm going to give you an example here in a minute, using us as an example, so you can kind of copy us. So you are going to send them to a product page, but it's not going to be a Blender Market or Gumroad page. It's going to be a page that you designed on your own website. And we'll discuss why this is so important. The next thing here is if they hit the product page, ideally, this isn't required. We actually don't do this anymore, but ideally you capture their email address and you can send them an abandoned cart sequence. We don't have an email capture anymore, which means they have to buy for us to get their email. So you can kind of ignore this part, but it is a decent option if you want to do that, okay? I found that if people become a lead but don't even complete the purchase, they don't ever buy it to begin with. So this is kind of optional right here. So again, you're getting your traffic and then you're sending them to a product page on your own site. Now, the caveat here is this is going to be a more expensive product, probably between 50 and $100. And if you're thinking to yourself right now, my plugin's not worth 50 to $100. One of two things I have to tell you. Number one is it's a limiting belief and it is worth that much and you just don't believe in yourself enough. Or number two, it isn't worth that much and it's just a shitty product, in which case, why are you selling shitty products to begin with? That's not going to get you anywhere. Most people with a decent product to sell, it's probably a limiting belief. You feel like it has to be cheap because everybody else is selling cheap stuff. But the thing is, it doesn't matter. We're selling, some of our training courses are like $100 and people buy these all the time like clockwork because the product's good, right? So don't undervalue yourself, right? You can probably sell whatever you're selling for 50 to $100. That's kind of the standard for Blender products nowadays. The next thing is after the product page, you're going to send them to a checkout page. And on this checkout page, you're going to add an order bump, which is going to be between 25% and 100% of the main product price. So if you have a $100 product, you might have a $25 order bump. I wouldn't recommend making like a $100 order bump. Those tend to work better at lower prices. So in general, I would just cut the price of your main product by a fourth, and that is kind of a good guideline for order bumps. Now I can make a separate video on this, but in general, order bumps are really just going to be additional like add-ons, so to speak, that are relevant to your main product. I can make a whole separate video on this if you'd like, but that's kind of the way it works, and I'll give you an example with our own brand, or if you end up becoming a client of ours, I can just help you build this out and just tell you what to make, because I've seen this over and over again. But in general, like if you have a $50 product, you might have a $15 order bump. That's kind of how the pricing structure will work there. And then what's going to happen is somebody is going to purchase, or they're not going to purchase, right? But we care about the people that purchase, right? So once somebody buys, they're going to be sent to an upsell page, okay? Now, the idea behind an upsell is they've already entered their payment information here during the purchase, and then the upsell window pops up and they can either accept it or decline it. And they can do either one, but since they already have their details ran here, the payment's still open, so to speak. So they can just click a button and then either accept this or decline it. Now, the structure I would recommend here is you're going to have an upsell one, and if somebody declines the upsell one, I would highly recommend adding a downsell one, which most of the time, what's going to work best for a downsell is just going to be a payment plan. I haven't really found a situation where something works better. Usually a payment plan is going to work. If they don't accept it, then they just don't want the product to begin with. And then there's going to be an upsell to and a downsell to option. Now, you'll see marketers preach one thing or the other. I've seen marketers run up to 4 upsells. I shit you not. I personally just run one single upsell and one single downsell. And the reasoning I kind of have behind this is, number one, I want people to be in a yes momentum. I want them to be accepting things. Yes, 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 I want this. I want them to be in a yes momentum when they're, buying from us, right? That's just a natural good momentum to be in. You don't want people saying no, no, no. Number two, I found that they can convert well. They just don't convert well enough for me to justify adding them in when I could just have more goodwill by just having like one of these and then just get them into, just sell them other stuff like later on through email or something. I personally don't run a second upsell. This could very much change and I can always experiment. I've just found that these aren't like some of you might have bought digital products before and you've been presented with upsells before. By the time like you might entertain the first upsell, but by the time the second one comes, you're just like, I'm just scrolling down looking for the no button. I just can't be bothered. I just don't care, right? Maybe that's just me missing out on a good opportunity. Very well could be. I'm just explaining the psychology of how we are as buyers. So I actually don't even, run these anymore. So you could just delete that out and just go straight to the thank you page. So after the upsell and the downsell, they're going to be sent here to a simple thank you page. Now, what I used to do and what I still see people doing is they just make a page and it's like, hey, thanks for your order. I used to do this as well. I found that this is very valuable real estate because 100% of people that buy your product is going to land on this page. There's no other time that 100% of your customers will see a page because after they buy, you could send them emails or message them, but there's no guarantee they'll see the page. A fresh buyer, 100% of them are going to land on this page because they just purchased. That's where you're redirecting them to, right? So you might as well use this page, not necessarily to sell. I don't use this to sell again because I've already done this through this process here. What I do is I plant the seed in their head. And I do this with our most expensive program, which is a one-on-one coaching program that we offer, which is, as of right now, a $3,000 coaching program. And yes, people will buy that. Most people won't. But there are people out there, believe it or not, that have money, that do this as a hobby, that might want your help or your services or whatever. These people exist. They're not wizards, right? There's just people, like I have a friend, he's big into music, right? He's not in a band. He doesn't make money from it, but he bought like a $5,000 or $10,000 guitar amplifier. He doesn't make any money with his music. It's just a big, big hobby of his that he spends money on, same thing. So I kind of like to use these opportunities here to just plant the seed, just mention the other, products or programs or services we have. So usually what I'll do, and I'll show you an example here in a second, you can just kind of see what we do. Usually what I do here is I just say, hey, thanks for buying the product. Here's how to access it. And then if you're this type of person, here's, some other things we have to offer you. So I kind of call out the avatar, and if they're interested, they can watch the video. Most people aren't going to, do anything with that, but the seed is kind of planted so they know it exists. So that's kind of the idea there. Now, one more thing regarding upsells, these have a 5 to 10x price elasticity, meaning these can be about 5 to 10x the price of your main product. So if you're selling a $100 product, the upsell could be, $500 to $1,000. 10x is pretty on that high range, and the product value has to be there. We personally run $100 products, and then our upsells are $397, so like $400. So we go 4x. You can experiment with pricing and different products here. That's a topic for another video. And again, if you are a client of ours, we can just help you build these out and just tell you what to make. Now, the nice thing here is compared to this one, where your maximum, average order value is going to be just the price of your product. If your product's $10, the maximum average order value is also $10. Down here, this could be literally hundreds of dollars. Like for example, our main products are $100, and then we have a $27, let's say $30 order bump, and then we have a $400 upsell, and then we have a $99 payment plan downsell, and then we have a $3,000 coaching offer. Like I shouldn't even put, $500 here. I should put like $3,500 plus, because that's realistically what somebody could feasibly spend. But it's going to be an average, right? Because not everybody will spend that. But, you know, even a small percent is still going to be significantly more than what you're going to make over here. It's baffling to me how many people are making really good products in the Blender space and their pricing is just all fucked up, right? They're just doing this structure completely incorrectly, and that's why they're not getting anywhere, seeing any success with their product. So really, you want to be doing this right here. This is the only way that is working right now in 2026. If you want to keep doing it this way, you can just keep experiencing like mediocre success with your products. It doesn't affect us. I'm just being brutally honest with you here. This right here is what is working, and it's working very, very well, and it's very, very easy to build. You can get this done in a day or two, literally. Now, again, let's just kind of run through some of the conversion rate expectations here. Now, when your product's like 50 to 100 bucks, you're not going to be getting a 4 to 5% conversion rate like you were up here. It's probably going to be closer to 1 to 2%. So the conversion rates will probably cut in half, but in my experience, through all the time we spent in this niche, although your conversion rate will half, your pricing is going to 5 to 10x. I'd take that trade-off any day of the week. So lower conversion rates, but way more revenue. And then you should realistically be getting about 25% of those people to grab your order bump. About 10% will take your upsell, 1. And then about 5% will take your downsell. This could vary. You might be at 8%, you might be at 15%. This is kind of an average, right? This is what I've seen working very well. And then again, for upsell 2s, I don't even add these anymore, but the take rate is going to be lower naturally because you're asking them for more. So you can probably expect like a 5% here and then a 2% downsell 2 take rate. So again, I don't even run these anymore. I just do upsell 1, downsell 1. And then you might expect like 1% of people to get your back end like coaching or consulting or service. Now, if you don't have one, number one, you don't need one. And for a long time, we didn't either. But I can tell you right now, there is a lot of money that you will leave on the table. A lot of you watching this, you might have some sort of skill or some sort of service, right? Something that you can charge a good amount of money for. Again, we charge $3,000 for private coaching. It's like a 6-month mentorship program. A lot of people can't afford that. But again, we're not going for 99%. You're just going for like 1% of people that are your right type of person. And those people exist everywhere in any niche. I don't care how like broke you think your niche is. There are people with money that want to invest in themselves. And if you have something valuable to offer, it would be a disservice to you and the client to not offer that. For the longest time, we didn't even offer this because I just didn't believe I could like charge a good amount of money for my service. And so a lot of people said, no, of course. But the people that said yes and accepted it, I was like, so there are people out there that will pay for that. And yes, they exist. It's like a numbers game, right? So this is the, system you should be following. Now let's kind of give some example numbers here, and then I'm going to show you behind the scenes of how this works in our own business. So let's say you have a $10 product in the initial example that goes straight to a sales page on Blender Market or Gumroad, and just 5% of people purchase. You would need 20,000 people to view your product each month. Let's run the math here. 20,000 people times 0.05, which is a 5% conversion rate, that would be 1,000 sales, right? And times 10, that would get you $10,000 a month. That's kind of the example I'm using this for, is for like $10,000 a month, okay? Let's write that here. To make 10K a month. There, we'll just use that as an example. So again, in this example, for a $10 product and a 5% purchase rate, you need 20,000 people to view your product each month, which is 667 people per day. This is extremely difficult, and it's also unrealistic. It's a lot of people. These are like unique human beings. So, some food for thought there. Now, in the second example, this one right here, let's say you have a $100 product but it's only getting a 2% conversion rate. So it's more than, dropped by half, but it's 10x the price. And I've actually seen, like, it's usually not even like that. Like, the conversion rate might half, but the price could be like 10x, because people that are spending $10 oftentimes have like a higher buying power, right? So somebody who would, you might sell something for $10 and the same amount of people might have bought it for 20, right? So a lot of people have like a higher buying power in my experience. So let's say you have a $100 product and 2% purchase, 25% add a $30 order bump, 10% add a $250 upsell. This is a lower price one as well. And then 5%, let's say they get a payment plan for this option here. So you still get the money, but you just set them up for a payment plan. It might take you 3 months to get that. It's fine. And let's say 1%. If you don't have this, that's fine. But let's say 1% buy your $3,000, $2,000, whatever it costs, service or coaching offer. Again, you don't need this. You can still do just fine without it. Just an example. Now, in this case, you would only need 2,950 people to view your product each month. That's only 98 per day. And this is very easy, very realistic, especially if you're making YouTube videos or Instagram content. Like, I just started uploading IG Reels again, and I don't even put that much effort into them. I make them valuable, but they're very easy to record. And they're getting like 5,000 to 10,000 views per video. So like, you can easily get this amount of people to see your products if you just try, like literally just try. Like, anybody can do this. This up here is a lot harder. So what you probably want is an example of what this looks like. So if you guys just want to copy like what we're doing, you can literally just go to our website. You don't need to buy anything. You can just go to our site. Like, don't literally copy us, right? But copy the structure. Like, if you copy our course, I'm not going to be happy. But all of these are like different entry points, right? They're all $100. Why? Because that's the price point that has worked well for us. So let's say somebody comes in and they want, I don't know, our plasticity course, for example. What we have here is a full product page, and I have a separate video breaking down like product pages and stuff like that if you want to watch it. So basically what happens here is they go to our product page, they can read through it, they can watch our video sales letter right here, and then they can, scroll through and then buy. So I'm going to click here, and this is the checkout page right here. If you remember the diagram, let me go back. If you remember the diagram, you get the traffic, you send them to a product page, and then you send them to a checkout page. This right here is the checkout page. I'll show you the software, but we use a software called Kajabi. This is where they can buy. Then, like I said, there's going to be an order bump on that checkout page, which we have right here. This is a plasticity course, so naturally we made like a short 1-hour training, 50 essential plasticity tips. It makes sense. It's a cool little training, and it's not that expensive. So about 25% of people, actually right now it's 21%, but the price is a little bit higher, so I'm fine with that. And they can add this to their order. So this is potentially what they could spend straight up front. Now what's going to happen after that is they're going to be sent to an upsell. Now on this particular product, I have a $297 upsell, which lets them get a bundle of our plasticity courses, because this is a plasticity product. And then I have this right here where they can just kind of get all the trainings. And then I have some images here kind of breaking this down. I just added this as a new upsell, so I could definitely optimize this page. I'll show you the main upsell that we use for most of our products though. This right here is our main upsell. There's a video. I'm going to pause this. And basically this video just tells them, hey, if you want to grab all of our products, like you're already here, we'll give you an 80% off deal. And that's actually legitimate because all of our courses are minimum $100, right? And then there's like, it like expires, the page will redirect. And if they try to like re-access it in their search history, it just doesn't work, right? So that is kind of how this works. And they can get like all of our products here for $397. That is our current upsell. Again, yours might be different. You might not have other products to upsell. That's fine. Just start with what you have, or just build something small and then just iterate on it. You don't have to be like perfect on day zero. And then after this, there's also a downsell option here. Not a lot of people take this, but some people do, and it helps recoup the cash. I just say, hey, if it was a pricing issue, you can get it today for 4 payments of $99. And that is basically right here, purchase with the upsell one, and then the downsell one, and then the thank you page. Let's go to that. And then right here we have, this is the thank you page they get sent to. It says, welcome to the Blender Bros family. Your order is confirmed and your course is ready to go. And then I made a video here where I don't know if you can
get
hear
access to the course or the product.
You can just go to this link here if you want to see it. And basically I just say, hey, here's how you access your course. And then I promote our Academy program. I just let them know it exists. And then here I have, check your email. Click here to access your product. If you want more and you want to work with us, here's a link to our Academy program. So they could just click there and check that out, right? They can see that. That is literally, let me close this. That is literally all we do. That's it. This is the old way, sending all your viewers to cheap, low quality products on Blender Market and making no money. This is the old outdated way, which 99% of people are still doing. So you have such a competitive advantage right now if you actually implement the advice here. And then this is the way that's actually working. You might be wondering, if this is working so well, why are you sharing this on YouTube? And the honest reason for that is some people pay us to build this out, right? And the money we make building these out for people, number one, it works well for them. Number two, the competition that might start entering the market, it's not really that big of a deal to us because this is like a nice little separate business that we enjoy. It's like a passion project. And I know 100% that this shit works very well because we're doing it in our own business. Again, we made $2.5 million basically with this exact structure. That's it. You can build this very quickly in a single day. You can use Kajabi. We use Kajabi. You can use ClickFunnels, Go High Level, System.io, however you pronounce it. This is it. This is the game changer right here. And if you have a good product you're selling in the Blender space and you're still doing it this way, you are absolutely cooked. To just be quite honest there. Now guys, if you want our help, specifically if you're somebody building out Blender products, add-ons, plugins, courses, any of that stuff, especially if you have an audience already and you want our help building out this entire system, book in a call with us below this video. This isn't like a sales call. I'm going to have a chat with you. I want to see what you're actually doing first to make sure I can help you. And if you are somebody who we can help, there's a very, very, very high probability that you're just going to start killing it once we get this implemented. So if you want our help kind of building out this whole system, we can do all the technical setup, the product page development, the upsells, the funnels, everything. We can build it all out because we're doing it right now. Let's book in a call with us below. And if you're a good fit, we'll just get to work with you building this thing out. And just hop on a call. No pressure. We'll see if you're a good fit. If not, no hard feelings there. But this is the structure. This is the bad structure, people that are still on Blender Market. And this is the good structure. I just showed you how it worked literally in our own business. So just take what I gave you and do it. All right. If you want our help with this, just book in a call. That's it for this video. See you soon.